Did you know that it's very easy to create markup in Markdown that's not semantic? For example, with quotes that have authors. Let me show you. You probably know that to create a quote in Markdown, you start the line with an angle bracket and then you type in the quote itself, which renders perfectly fine on the front end, like we see here. And if I inspect this quote, we'll see that it renders inside a block quote tag, which is a perfectly semantic way to create a block quote. But the problems start when you want to add the author to this quote. I've seen people do it in many ways, like add it to the next line, for example. In this case, it's added inside the block quote tag, which is not semantic because Bill O'Reilly said he didn't mention his name in the quote. So that's not the way to do it. I've also seen people do it like that and add a citation tag, which is like we still have the first problem where the citation tag is inside the block quote, but on top of that, citation tag is not the correct way to reference the author because this tag is meant to be used to reference the work. That's from the definition of this tag. Work could be an article, a movie, a book. I've also seen people do it like that, just place it on the next line, which cite tag is still not semantic. And on top of that, it's also now placed outside of the block quote, so there is no relation between the author and the quote itself. It's just two separate things. So the correct way to create a block quote with an author is to use a figure tag. It's a very common misconception that it's only used for images or videos. No, you can use it for diagrams, tables, charts, and block quotes like in our case. I would place the block quote inside a figure tag like that, and then very conveniently figure comes with thick caption tag that could be used to reference the author. But how do I do this in Markdown? There's no way to group things together. Like I cannot add some kind of magic symbols to make it work here. I can place HTML directly into Markdown and most engines support that. But when I'm writing posts, when I'm writing an article, I don't want to switch to coding mode. Like I want to just write. I want to like write it like this and make it work automatically. Yeah, I could also use MDX, create a custom block quote component and import it here. But again, like I don't want to switch from writing mode. I don't know, like I just want it to work like this and be semantic. I got a little bit annoyed with this because I'm building my website and I'm using Markdown for content because I wanted to keep things super simple. I didn't want to connect it to a CMS or anything. And these small things keep derailing me. Like honestly, if I was a doctor or a plumber or any other profession except for front-end dev, I would just probably move on and use Wix or Squarespace or WordPress or whatever. But my entire channel is about being thoughtful, about creating semantic markup, CSS that's not super complicated. So I cannot just leave it like that. So I was like, okay, I'll try to figure out how to make it work and then share it here. So it turns out there is a way to keep writing your content in Markdown and make it semantic. So most frameworks, including Astro, use two things to convert your Markdown into HTML, remark and rehype. The good news is that both those ecosystems, remark and rehype, one's for working with Markdown, another one's for working with HTML, support plugins. So you can interject the syntax tree and manipulate it, or you can manipulate the HTML. So as you may have guessed, that's exactly what I did. I created a plugin for rehype that you can add to your Astro project or any other project that works with remark and rehype that takes your Markdown, checks if it has block quotes, and if it does, it checks if it has the author on the next line. So if you start the next line with double dash or with @ or with dash, it will create the semantic markup for you and you don't have to do anything for it. It's very easy to add plugins like that to Astro. All you have to do is import it and then add it to the Markdown config here. So I have it commented out, and right now quotes don't render semantically. So let me show you here. We still have our old block quote rendering logic where block quote is placed on the same line, and then we have our author here. So they're like separate. Now, if I uncomment this and restart the dev server and save this, we'll see that it actually renders correctly. Yay. Block quotes are now rendering inside a figure tag. I'm super happy. If you're curious about the plugin itself, I'll add a link to the description. And that's it for today. Note that if you need to manipulate Markdown, you can do that through remark and rehype ecosystems. See you in the next one.